Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Greetings and welcome back, everybody. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and we are coming to you earlier than usual because here in the United States, we're about to cram turkey in our face to the degree where it makes us go to sleep before 2 p.m. I'm also sitting here with Kyle Fergusson, as always. Hello, Kyle.
Hello.
You excited for Thanksgiving? You have your turkey? Did you go out to the forest and like hunt your own, or what do you do in Washington with all those trees?
Guess we'd hunt Yetis, Bigfoots out here. We're pretty into that.
Well,
no, I get to cheat. Entirely. We're doing one of those late Thanksgivings where my parents come out on like the December 3rd kind of weekend. So I've got like 4 days of nothing.
All right. Fair enough. Also ties into your nice Yeti bro from last week. And also joining us, the wonderful, triumphant, and returning Mr. Jeff Cannata.
Hey, fellas. I have to say, one of the things I am thankful for is to be here right now with you guys talking about Heroes of the Storm. I have missed you. I have missed the show, and I'm glad to be back.
Well, let's just keep the cheese ball going. I'm thankful for our wonderful listeners at home listening to this show, giving us download numbers, patronizing us. That sounds bad. Backing the show on Patreon, all of those things. Any way that you're supporting Into the Nexus, even if it's just you're in the grocery line and the guy in front of you has a hero shirt on, and you're like, hey, this is Heroes podcast. It's really good. It's called Into the Nexus. You should listen to it. We're thankful for that too. And grab yourself a Butterfingers. You deserve it.
The traditional Thanksgiving treat of Butterfingers.
Hey. Until they invent pumpkin pie bars, available right next to your favorite, candy.
It's totally available in a coffee shop here in Seattle somewhere.
Hipster food that costs like $7 for a bar does not count.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, hipsters. Your food's expensive.
That's the only thing they have in Seattle.
It's all we have going for us, other than the rain, which is beautiful. But I say that every day, so I stopped saying it.
Fair enough. I always assume that everything like in hipster towns like that's really expensive, except whatever their main export is. So in Seattle, I assume coffee is like 25 cents for a cup.
I think we're just taking the whole Heroes community and just shaking the bottle of soda right now, waiting for it to pop because this is a big, big show, and I'm going to make it go even longer. Because since Jeff was last on, we started a coaching series together. It's live only. It's on Wednesdays at the moment, but you can catch us live on Caffeine. Training up Jeff Cannata.
Oh my God, it has been such an awesome experience. I hope many of you, if not all of you, are able to join us. As Kyle said, it is only live right now. There's no VOD. I know that's a bummer for a lot of people, but it's because we are on this beta version of a new streaming service called Caffeine. And the cool thing about Caffeine is that it is pure real time. So Kyle is actually able to just watch my stream and be on Skype with me and just coach me by watching my stream, which is pretty remarkable because there's no delay. There's no lag whatsoever. He's also putting me through drills and really coaching me up with the goal of, ranking me up and improving my season standing in Hero League. And it has been so awesome. We've been going a little over a month now. Right now it's Wednesdays at noon at caffeine.tv/Jeff Cannata. We may have to futz with the timings a little bit here and there, but in general, it'll be Wednesdays at noon. It will be, as you're listening to this, tomorrow, Wednesday at noon. So I hope you guys can join us. It has been so fun for me. Hopefully not too frustrating for Kyle to watch me screw up and be bad. But, man, I've been learning so much.
Not at all. In fact, I do this professionally, in fact. And actually, I have coaching sessions now available. KyleFergusson.com. You can check those out for the holidays. But we've been going at this for about 4 weeks. And to put you on the spot, from your Silver League, as we're working you up, what do you feel like is kind of the big things that you've learned so far?
Well, we've definitely worked on my aggression and my ability to not play it safe so much, and understand the opportunities to go in for a kill, or go in and kind of guide my team. One of the biggest things is guiding my team by the communication that is non-chat, that is just by my actions, how those communicate things to my team. Kyle is great about helping me figure out who on my team is the most important player, who on the other team is the most important player, and focusing my energies to maximize my player and minimize theirs. A lot of really great actionable tips that I think anybody at any skill level would benefit from, and I certainly am a lot.
So what's the caffeine link for those who want to stop by and see that?
It's caffeine.tv/Jeff Cannata, and my last name is spelled with 2 N's and 1 T.
Awesome. Anyone who has to specify how many T's are in their name is good by me.
Yes.
Well, awesome. That's great that you guys are doing that, and also jealous. Kyle, how do I get you as my own personal, coach? What, pocket coach? Like a pocket healer?
Pocket coach? Yeah. No, exactly. Well, there's a couple of methods. One is sort of that we sit down together and work through it. And the other one is that we do a workshop where you basically send me some replays and I dig in and kind of make you a month-long plan.
I was hoping you were just going to really bluntly advertise your coaching services and be like, well, Garrett, you pay me.
Well, that's actually kind of what I'm talking about here a little bit, because it is important. And this personal adjustment stuff is coming up. And your own personal performance is going to be really, really important. So let's say, for usefulness, you don't, want to offer a coach, what you would do in your own time would be head to your HOTS log, starts analyzing your own win rates there, and really look at your replays and really dissect how actionable you are and what sort of impact you have on the game. And is it proactive? Is it always pushing things forward? Also, does your aggression match your league? And that's where you're trying to find that balance, because you can go ham Greymane all day long, but if Uther ain't got your back in Silver League, you got to wind that back. So you're always gauging your own performance based on the people around you.
Yeah, very good points, which is what we try and do on the show all the time, by looking at what we're seeing in the pro meta and how to actually adapt that to what we're playing at home. But we talk in broad generalizations. That's what you just said there. That's a really good tip to try and tailor it even more to your experience at home.
Exactly.
So, well, that's great. Folks should go watch that. Folks should definitely be booking you for coaching sessions. And I will take advantage by just saying I want to play games with you, but also have you critique my play. That's what I'll do. I'll be sneaky about it. All right, folks. So there's a lot to unpack on what's going on with a PTR patch. So let's get into it. This week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Can't stitch this play now. Point me to the stage.
We're going to do our best to surmise this for you today. Right up front, this is really cut down, and it's still a lot of information to go through. So if you're like, hey, they missed that, it was probably intentional. Probably.
Also, these aren't complete, and when we get to the heroes specific, things are a little up in the air because so much has been tweaked on the stealthies that numbers just change all over the board. They gave us what they knew changed.
Yeah. Not to mention even just personal takes. We normally record on Thursday. We're doing this on a Tuesday. We haven't even had that much time to really live with the PTR patch.
This does feel almost like a Heroes 3.0. I mean, it's such a big shift, in my opinion, it's almost to the point of a Heroes 3.0 patch.
Yeah, I mean, 2.0 was really to everything but being in the game itself, and
right.
This is everything in the game itself. Massive changes to the way structures work. The damn camera height, which is a huge thing for an isometric game. Let's just kick it off. The in-game camera height is now, it's pulled up significantly further into the sky. You can see a lot more of the battleground now.
Where to begin?
It's huge.
It's a huge change.
This was one of the things, and everything we're going to talk about today, a lot of this was detailed at BlizzCon, and this was when we got, oh my God, we got together and we did a whole show and it got lost. But we talked about a lot of the same concepts with Dunk Train. And when I said, yeah, Heroes came out first, and then compared to everything else, at the opening ceremony, the Heroes seemed a little dull. And that's because all of this, like, you can't come out and be like, our camera is higher than before and have a sweet-ass trailer for that. There's just, you can't sell that in the opening ceremony. It's a bullet point. But it has a huge impact on the game. And I think
these are all granular changes, right? But those are often the most important for people who are obsessive about the games like we are. So, yeah, you're right. They don't make splashy banners for, you know, these tiny little granular changes, but they're so juicy and so interesting and really make up so much of how your brain has to adapt to the game that I find it all very fascinating, and I'm excited to dive into it.
Yeah. Now, they haven't adjusted like sight radius though for Heroes, correct?
Right, that's all stayed the same. So what you're going to reveal as you move through the fog of war is still dangerous. But you're basically looking at every person who has a lane side objective, Braxis, Dragonshire. That's going to be a lot more aware. And the second you play with this new camera, you immediately can feel, that's why they messed with stealthies. They wanted to bring back the camera, but they were going to make that shimmer smaller, so the eye test was going to get even worse. It also is a huge congratulations to the team of readability, as Lunara with her hair weaving and slithering through the air is distinguishable from somebody else. When they're getting really, like Chromie, she is microscopic now, but you can see her entire range on your one screen.
That's such a good point with the shimmer thing. I didn't even put that together, but I wonder if that was just necessitated by this. Like they were so intent on doing the camera that they actually had to do it. I wonder if which came first, you know, which idea came first, or if they were sort of a simultaneous realization.
Which, now that I think about it, I find it strange that they didn't really mention that. Their issue with stealth seemed to come down to they're over-abused in quick match and see almost no play in the pro scene.
Right, and I think that's because the laughability, perhaps, from the pro scene down of saying we're adjusting our game this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, again, almost no time spent with this. It's on the PTR. It's not even on the live game. But my gut reaction is this is a very positive change. It rewards a whole line of things that I think you were already rewarded for if you were keeping an eye on things. Like if anything was getting revealed anywhere else on the map for any other reason, you successfully overpushed a lane. So now you have a sight a little further out into the lane. If you're playing Lunar and you've got a wisp hidden somewhere, if you're playing Chrome and you've got a time trap set up somewhere, any of these things that give sight at all, they're even more valuable now because you can see them further away. And even though your own personal sight radius is smaller, anywhere else anything's getting revealed, if it's within your field of view on your screen, it's now worth even more.
I haven't had any time with this. I know, Kyle, you have had a little bit. I'm wondering if, you know, obviously I play with the camera unlocked to my movement. I can't imagine anybody can play with it locked. It just seems crazy to me. But are you finding that you adjust the camera, adjust the screen less frequently than you used to?
Yes. And one of the things I talk a lot about, particularly when we're dealing with bronze leaguers, is setting up your camera shot and making sure that when you get onto that Cursed Hollow, let's picture it's the very top lane. We all know Cursed Hollow well enough. There's that back little entrance. You got two on the tops, and then the main one that's going to run past their boss. When you're making your camera of that shot, you have to cover down far enough to make sure you're not going to get ganked from the back bottom. That was a skill in some regards, because you were choosing, rather than being aggressively positioned on your camera looking forward, that you were going to be defensive looking backwards and maybe aim your Chromie shots in that case a little blindly. Now you don't have to make that choice. And in fact, locked camera won't be as big of a deal in some ways. You're still going to miss out. You're not the best, but it's so darn big.
I think there's actually mentioned, I think, was it Daniel J. Newman? Yeah, Daniel J. Newman in chat room was asking, hey, does this mean we can play with locked camera now and not get flamed? If you want to play with locked camera, play with locked camera. No one should be giving you crap about that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's your personal preference. I just can't imagine it, but if it works for you, kudos.
Yeah.
Well, and look what I just said. You have your entire Chromie range. Outside of Asmodan and maybe a couple other global abilities, locked cameras should be fine now. You're just not optimized.
Yeah. I still recommend it for new players. If you've never played an isometric game before, keep it locked. Keep that stuff locked and just figure out movement in general and skill shots first. Then work on unlocking your camera.
Well, and that's where the bother's going to come from. Because sometimes you ever watch a tiny TV from across the room, and over the course of the first half hour, it might as well be a big screen. Your brain just focuses.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
You're
as long as
not going to have all those fancy advantages that you think you are in this environment. The battle is going to go off. You're still going to tunnel vision, and you're not going to have an advantage at the end of the day. But it is nice, and everyone's on the same playing field.
During particularly hectic fights, I tend to just rest my thumb on the spacebar anyway, which locks the camera as long as the spacebar is depressed. So, but I can't stand it when I'm not meticulously trying to land skill shots and stuff like that.
And that's where the real impact is going to be. Skill shots. We're all going to suck for like 2 weeks. It's a new angle. Those thin little Vala shots, Genji's dash. You're going to be horrible at them. Be ready.
Yep. I'd recommend, if you weren't already doing this, which I thought helped before, I think it helps even more now, get your cursor out really far from the target you're trying to hit. Like, draw a line between your cursor and your character. For whatever reason, makes it a lot easier to hit things for me.
No, that's very true. Just like a record spinning, the inside is spinning slower than the outside. So by putting your mouse out further, your big motions, which your hand is going to stupidly do because we're human, is easier to do than tiny little minute motions where you're going to try to target.
Yeah. I recommend it. So anyways, moving on, let's talk about updates to the Battlegrounds in general. This is probably going to be our longest and meatiest discussion of the day because so much is changing with Battlegrounds. The first off is just a timer consistency across the board. Timers are getting reined in. Objective respawns are now set for Blackheart's Bay. It's a 3-minute chest respawn after a capture. The old one was a variation anywhere between 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It could have popped anywhere in there. Now it's always 3 minutes after the chest has been captured.
They've done the same with Braxis and Dragonshire, making sure those respawns are spot on.
Yeah.
Which means some of us old alpha players lose our ability to go, I can sense it coming, to a guy who has a clock next to him.
Right. Braxis and Dragonshire are 2 minutes, not 3, by the way, just in case anyone's wondering. But yeah, it's on the nose. You can just set an egg timer. Also, why are you cooking your eggs for 2 minutes? Those are gross eggs.
It's just a slimy egg. Anyway, that's another thing I think, Kyle, like you were talking about with setting your camera on Cursed Hollow, that is a skill that's no longer really a skill. It used to be this piece of information that some players might have and others may not, and now it feels like that's a little less of a skill.
Particularly when we get into the warnings on the mini-map. And this is the objectives across Cursed Hollow, Infernal Shrine, Sky Temple, and Towers of Doom. Some of them are random objectives, are going to show the ghost of the objective image 30 seconds before the objective actually starts. Cursed Hollow is a special case. It's going to pop up 15 seconds after the previous curse was taken. Either way, no longer will you have to know and perhaps benefit from knowing the awesome fact that Cursed Hollow, you can only have 2 on the top half before it's guaranteed to be on the bottom. Sometimes it goes 1 top, 1 bottom, 1 top, but you have to be ready for it.
Yeah. And I think those longer warnings are going to be, at least for the first couple of weeks, is going to be a lot of people like reporting early and just sort of hanging out at the objective and wasting a lot of XP because they left the lane too early.
The important thing to know is that it is still going to give you a countdown. There's still going to be a call to action. The Infernal Shrine is building, summoning, and whatnot. Don't report early. It's very easy to do on Cursed Hollow because it's just sitting there. Yeah. And then it goes into its 30-second countdown.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned Curse Hollow, Infernal Shrine, Sky Temple, and Towers of Doom. We're getting a mini-map indication as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just going to be sitting there bugging you, and you're just like, oh, this is important. It's on my mini-map. I trained myself to look at the mini-maps. This is the thing everyone tells me to do, and now what? Well,
yeah, stay in lane, be disciplined, stay in lane.
Right,
yeah.
right. Keep getting that XP.
But be aware of where it might come and make sure that when you go back to Hearth for mana because you know the objective's coming, because you're a good boy, that you will swing through the middle lane and be ready to go to that top half.
That is a good point. That is a very good point. That a lot of those guys that drive me batty because as soon as the objective comes up, they Hearth home. At least those guys will actually be able to report on time still, and it won't be so frustrating because they'll have. They'll just realize they need mana right at that moment, and they'll have extra time.
Hopefully, the hard part is changing people's muscle memory to playing this game and maybe just not spacing out. But the new players will have very useful tools to inform them how to play a new map.
Yeah. Haunted Mines has some really specific things about it. Issuing a move command within the mines while on the upper part of the actual battleground and vice versa. So if you're trying to move to the actual battleground while in the mines, is now going to cause the hero to use the mine entrance or exit that has the shortest distance from that issued order. It's actually a rather robust string of code, I would assume. But yeah, so now you can have one more way that pathing will kill you if you're not paying attention.
Truth.
And this is not me getting on anyone. I still die from not paying attention to my pathing. It still happens. Once a month, it'll get me. I'm just like, oh no, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I tend not to be right-clicking. I don't think I've ever tried to right-click into the mines or out of the mines without selecting a specific entrance to go through.
But now you can.
Yes, now I can. I'm not sure I will because it scares me a little, but we'll see how it happens. Does it work if I just right-click on like the mini-map? It should work, right?
Right, because you are on the upper level communicating to the lower level.
I like that. Hey, can they just code this into Zagara's Nidus networks? Like if I have a couple up, she'll automatically go through one if it's a faster path.
Oh my God! That may be too easy, but I don't know. We're heroes, right? Like let's make it easy and then find other ways to be better.
That's
more cheap ways.
Or like on Temple of Doom Towers of Doom. Sorry. On Temple of Doom when Indiana Jones is like on Towers of Doom when the center thing pops open, just click on the minimap and have them use automatically use the teleporter to get to the center. I don't know.
I'd like
all
to,
of that stuff could be the same code theoretically.
I want to right click on my Nidus down in the tray, and it'll have like the little glowy auto cast thing, and that'll let me auto travel through Niduses, and then I can unclick it if I just want to hide in one to regain health and mana.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah. And someone at Team 1's listening like this would take months. You're insane. We're not doing that. But whatever the case is. Also, the Grave Golem's changing on Haunted Mines. Fortin Keep attacks no longer reduce attack speed on the Grave Golem. It will no longer interrupt its attacks mid-swing to use an ability, and it now passes through player-created walls rather than stopping to destroy them.
Pretty important change. I know on Nazebo, I would put out a zombie wall to make him sense enough units in the area to do a slam to slow him down.
Which, are you sad it's being removed? Because I feel like it makes you feel kind of special that you know that is an interaction that you can take advantage of.
Oh, we're going to get there. We're going to get to the one that I am most sad about. These can all just fly out the window. I get it. Like, it's cool. I feel sad to lose so many optimizations and cool tricks I've learned. But let's simplify the game. Let's find other better ways to perform, particularly if a teammate's involved.
Yeah. All right. I get that. Structures. We talked a little bit about this in our BlizzCon episode, but let's go back into the nitty-gritty of it. All attacking structures no longer have ammunition. Ammo is gone. They have unlimited ammo. And, of course, if you have any talents out there that affect ammo, they're going away. They're just going bye-bye. I kind of want them to keep just one in just to mess with people.
You don't get any replacements either. So if you were taking Muradins or any of the ones that are still lingering, nothing for you.
You don't need to be. It's fine. Muradin had one. I didn't even remember that. Walls will now be destroyed if their connected towers and gates are also destroyed. Walls can still be attacked normally. This is the one I'm sad about.
Yeah, this is the one that I was referencing.
Okay, yeah, my hatred stacks are weeping.
Exactly, right? So the way this works is you destroy the tower and then the middle gate, and the tower that the wall is connected to, that wall is dead.
That's crazy.
And if you destroy both the middle wall and the two towers, both those mini walls are gone.
That's the optimization I'm saddest about losing.
Right, and so when we look at this from a yell at the new players kind of way, it's very understandable. You gave away the boss rotation because you walked too close to the mini walls that were left over because nobody destroys them naturally. And now you didn't walk through that perfect cubby where the two overlap and there's a little hole where you can move without being seen. That's lame. That shouldn't be in Heroes. We should be a better game than that. But your hatred stacks, Illidan escaping, Leaping Strike on Lunara, Greymane using those to pop his cocktail so the splash would do maximum damage rather than popping on something for low damage first and then pop in the back. There's so many ways that we were optimizing and using these. I'm happy we're not yelling at each other, but I had an edge.
I mean, if that was the reason, and I don't think anyone from Team 1 said specifically that was a reason that they got rid of this, was it?
No.
Okay.
That would be my assumption because that's the lamest part about them.
Right, and that's fine. But why not just have it so when the tower is destroyed, they lose sight functionality?
Ah, I like that.
I like it. Even in, not for any of the cute stuff, just for terrain manipulation. I liked making the decision of keeping it or getting rid of it.
It explodes because they just wanted to end the meeting. I bet you. And who can blame them, right? They've been in there for 4 hours. The guys, they're like, damn it, I can't live in this world with my Illidan. And they're like, you know what? They just blow up, okay? There's no sight. There's no health reduction. They're just gone.
They're just gone. It blows up. The tower falls on it. It's dead. So, moving along. Tower vision range has been increased by 25%. Tower damage to minions has been reduced by 25%. So the vision range is further, but they're doing less damage to minions, which should be the case with unlimited ammo, I think.
Yeah,
very true.
Game's gonna go a long damn time if they're just mopping up minions at the rate that they used to. They now have a warm-up period of half of a second before firing, and they have to face their targets completely. Does this mean we're now beholden to the turn speed of turrets, as if because we have turn speed on heroes?
Right. Well, the real reason is because they increased the range, and you're now inching out to about a fifth of a Spider Queen lane. And if you're fighting somebody and then they boom and turn on to you, you have a moment to react and go, just kidding, tower.
Right. Which I think that's a welcome change for me. I like that.
That's gonna be. I just feel like that's satisfying to see it kind of snap to you, and you get back out of lane before it actually fires.
And you're like,
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Love it.
As I always do that thing where I time the last friendly minion. I'm just wailing on the tower for as long as possible, and I see the last two shots go off at that last friendly minion, and then I peace out before it figures out that there's a new target to be had. So I think that's kind of a fun, feels fun.
Yeah, I like it. As mentioned at BlizzCon, standalone towers, so these are the ones that are not connected to the walls. These are the ones that are next to forts and keeps. They're gone. No more standalone towers. They mentioned at BlizzCon that these towers really didn't have a large effect on the game.
Other than a detrimental, because they're supposed to be defensive structures, and you're giving me two chokes to choose between the tower in the fort and the well in the fort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And also for stuff like Murky's Egg.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because you could. So it is a pretty big blow to a safe place for Murky's Egg and Abathur to hide out to make sure he had that full 4-tower dispense. But all the damage has been baked into the surrounding dudes, so it should be the same maybe a little easier to pull off a gank in that way.
Right. That was the next note in the things, is that the health from those, the grant experience from the standalone towers, the damage of the standalone towers, all of that has just been cut up and divvied up to the towers, the forts, and the keeps.
Right.
Yeah, which makes sense. Forts and keeps now have true sight. This is also mentioned in BlizzCon, so they're going to reveal and attack stealthed heroes. True sight is disabled while the structure is disabled by effects such as the curse or Sylvanas' trait. Man, Sylvanas' stock is just going through the roof with these changes.
Yeah.
There's a caveat here in that if it is currently revealing the hero and Sylvanas runs up and turns it off, they are still revealed. Could be a bug.
Gotcha. Okay. I would assume it is, but I guess we'll have to see. Let's talk about regeneration globes again. So if you missed our BlizzCon episode, regeneration globes are now going to become neutral, which means they can be claimed by either team if they are not claimed within 3 seconds. So you kill that little mini wizard dude, he drops his regen globe. You've got 3 seconds where only you can pick that up. After those 3 seconds, that enemy that pushed your butt out of lane can go and pick it up.
I really liked this at BlizzCon, but I didn't play enough to get a real feel for how it changes the game. Have you got a sense of that, Kyle?
If you have a bully in your lane, you're going to really feel it. And it can be painful because the objectives on Battlefield of Eternity, Cursed Hollow, Garden Terror, Haunted Mines, Infernal Shrine, Sky Temple, Towers of Doom, and Warhead Junction are all set to 3 minutes now. So there's a whole extra minute of that laning phase. And that can feel like an eternity if you're being completely wrecked by that Alarak.
Right.
That's more orbs to him. That's not for him. He doesn't have an orb quest, but another orb quester could be further along. That's a level lead that you might not have when you report to that first objective.
Yeah. It's a little concerning, but I also kind of like it. Also, it's shorter than it was at BlizzCon. It was 8 seconds, so it was 4 seconds to turn neutral and 4 seconds as in anybody's globe. It is now 3 seconds on both ends, so the globe's going to be around for a total of 6 seconds, becoming neutral halfway through after 3. Minions.
Pretty tight.
Yeah, which is good. 4 seconds felt a little long to leave it up for grabs for your enemy. Minions are getting changed. Minion-based damage has been increased by roughly 10%, so they're going to hit a little harder and also take a little less damage from the towers, as we previously mentioned. And the 5-second delay before minion spawns after the game begins is gone. Less time
to the action.
Yeah, less time to fart around in the middle for your big middle fight, guys.
Well, you mean we'll just get to the middle, rather than hovering on the sides of middle for 5 seconds less.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Sure. Mercenary respawn timers. They will now spawn 60 seconds after the game begins. I love all these round numbers, man. I can just set a timer. This is easy to remember.
They're good. They're good. It's a pretty big change up for us in Team League, who have been making room for that mercenary guy to wander off and get it done. So laning, it's going to be really fierce. Yeah. And this too, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this yet, but if you're removing your mercenary guy at the minute mark rather than the 2-minute mark, as the objective comes out at 2:30, you're now removing 1 minute. So that's another guy out of lane. So those solo laners, those Zagaras, those Sonyas, those Alaraks, they're going to be crushing it because one guy's busy even earlier than before.
Yeah. Hellbats have received a lot of changes. Respawn times have been doubled. They now prioritize structures when you're fighting them. Right? That's what a defender Hellbat is when you're trying to take the camp.
Exactly.
Yeah. So their base health has been increased. Their health scaling has been increased. Their damage has been increased, and their damage scaling has been reduced. But all of those increases I mentioned are big increases.
Yeah, huge. Harder to kill, harder to get.
Unsoloable for everything but the best. Because honestly, like, not only that, but you are being applied the debuff. And in the build on the notes here, it says that the debuff only works on the laner Hellbats. Currently, they're working as the mercenary camp. So when you're fighting this thing, every time one of them attacks you, you lose 5 armor. Stacking 20 times, that's 100. So double damage.
I know who to prioritize my bribe stacks on.
Yeah, true. Ooh, interesting.
Bribe stock is up, at least in maps where there's Hellbats. So to the Rainer, who was murking the entire game when I was playing with Scott Johnson and some of the core guys the other night, stop. Thank you.
He'd be very dead.
He was very dead before this change.
Well, now he'd be dead even sooner.
Laning Hellbats, so this is after you have captured them, has changed as well. Base health has been increased. Health scaling has been increased. Base damage has been increased. Damage scaling has been decreased. Noticing a pattern here. Damage taken from structures has been cut in half, reduced by 50%. And what you just talked about, Kyle, attacks now apply that 3-second stacking -5 armor debuff, which can stack up to a maximum of -100.
Including structures.
Yep. Crazy town. Hellbats.
It's a 2-lane map. Don't let them go. You got only 2 lanes to manage. Why are there Hellbats destroying your forts?
You're right. I like this change. It is a 2-lane map. You should deal with this, which is good. And if you don't, it makes me feel good. The guy that hopefully captured them and didn't die, because it's going to take a lot of effort now. The Knight Camp, the Wizard Knight Laner is getting his Spell Armor Aura, which was mentioned at BlizzCon, which grants all nearby allies, minions, mercenaries, and heroes 30 Spell Armor. The Spell Armor is immediately removed upon leaving the Aura area, and the Aura is destroyed when the Wizard is killed.
Kill the Wizard.
It was true before. It is a lot more true now.
Yeah.
Wizard Knight Defender grants nearby Knight Defenders a 15 Spell Armor Aura, and this aura is destroyed when the Wizard is killed. So
Kill the Wizard.
Kill the Wizard. Kill the damn Wizard. And then Sapper Camps. They now fire their attacks at target areas instead of directly at heroes. This behaves like the laning Sappers. So this is when you're trying to take the Mercenary Cap, you can now avoid those Sapper attacks coming down. Sapper explosions damage now scale over time. The health scaling has been increased. The respawn timer across all maps has been increased by 15 seconds. And leaning sappers now have 100 armor versus structures while charging, and towers will ignore charging sappers. So no more getting them down really low and like, the tower will finish him off.
Right. I wonder if that increase in respawn timer I'll feel it on Haunted Mines, because man, those guys feel like they're constantly up on that map.
I'm a little more worried about it on towers.
Yeah, that too.
This is a pretty big change across all of these sort of sieging camps that have the arcing catapult-like attacks. The ground splash, it's huge. The size of Lunara's Poisonous Blossom, the size of the center of Chromie's talented Dragon Breath, bigger than that even. Like when you see a catapult coming towards you now, you will see its fire and where it's going to splash to, and it's big. And we've all been standing in it like dummies, and now we have a nice visual radius to show us that. So same thing's happening. Siege Giants, Sappers, if you are stuttering stepping, if you are fast enough, you can dodge these circles in a little mini game and take that by yourself.
That's awesome. I think that's great.
Which doesn't this make the Hellbats look even scarier now by comparison?
Yes,
it's like,
because there's nothing you can do.
Sappers and Siege Giants while I'm taking them. Man, if I'm really good, I'm not going to take any damage. Hellbats, no matter what I do, they're going to murder me dead.
Well, they're not called Happybats.
You broke both of us. Yeah. So, all right, let's move away from the battleground changes and talk about some other miscellaneous changes that have happened before we get into the stealth rework. In general, now some new interface, which I really like, by the way. Hero portraits are now displayed when heroes are inside Dragon Knights, Garden Terrors, Triglab Protectors, Anubarak Cocoons, Lieutenant Morales' Medevac Dropship, Stitch's Gorge, and Zagara's Devouring Maw. This was in the build at BlizzCon. This is one of the things we noticed while we were playing around. And I was just like, man, that's nice. That's a really nice little touch.
Nice.
Yeah, especially with Anubarak. That one is key.
For me, it's the Garden Terrors or the Dragon Knights. I hated doing, who's butt kiss? Okay, wait, to the tab menu. All right, it's Nova.
Who's butt kiss? There's always a butt kiss.
Yellow 420. And then we're getting manual talent tier and hero status callouts. All players are now going to be able to alt left-click hero portraits and the team level UI at the top of the screen to generate notifications for the following situations. If you alt left-click on a hero portrait, it will inform your teammates when that ally needs assistance. If you alt left-click on a dead hero's portrait, it will generate a chat message indicating the amount of respawn time left. Alt-clicking an enemy hero portrait will ping that hero's location on the minimap if they are within allied vision. If they are outside of allied vision, a chat message will inform allies that hero is missing. And then,
so great.
Yeah, isn't that good? And then alt right-clicking the team level UI will indicate when both teams are on even talent tiers or when one team has a talent tier advantage over the other. We just last week talked about why did this disappear? This is a thing they were talking about, and then it just poof, it vanished, and it's back.
It's back, and it's smart too. Though for abuse, it makes it a little easier. If you have a guy who's trying to ping you all the time, he can now just do that up in the upper screen, and he doesn't have to chase you and miss half his pings while you're moving on your mouse.
That's a good point.
You can ping silence people.
Yeah, exactly. Not a big deal. The big deal here is the missing. And if they are stealth but on the screen, they will count as missing. If they have an illusion on the screen, it'll ping that illusion as though that's real. So it even has a little mind game to it with the stealth change.
That's good. I mean, you needed that. Otherwise, I would have just pung all the Samoros.
Pung spung the thing.
Just pung all the Samoros to find out which Samoro was a real Samoro. And that was dumb. And you shouldn't be able to do that. So, of course, they had to build it that way. So, Kyle, introduce us to the stealth rework. What's going on? Because now we have different modes of stealth. You have to please select your stealth mode.
Right. So to begin the stealth conversation, let's talk about the 5 different modes of stealth that now exist. First, there is unrevealed, which still exists. This is your Valera and your Samuro. When they're in the beginnings of their abilities to stealth, they are still unrevealed. Damage causes that little unrevealed word to pop above their head, but you don't really know what they are. They don't have a silhouette. They don't have a shimmer. That is invisibility. They are invisible during that time. You can also be invisible. So that was unrevealed. Step 2 of stealth is invisible. You have stopped moving.
Real quick, isn't it technically unrevealable? I think it's like what the game like yells at you in white text over their head when you try and hit somebody, like a Valera that just stealth. I think it says unrevealable.
That's true. That's true, because you're actively trying to remove it from them.
Yeah, I'm legitimately curious. I think that's what it says. I haven't actually paid attention to it in a long time. I just know it's that thing that means I can't kill that damn Valera no matter how hard I try.
That's the weirdest part of this whole thing for me. I mean, there's a lot of weird parts, but that's the weirdest part for me is like, I see them. I know where to shoot. I can click on them. I'm shooting at them. No, you can't.
Well, it's like in the case of Valera and the other stealth heroes that have an unrevealable thing, it's a perk. It's a part of what keeps that hero alive because they don't have a lot of health.
Right.
And Vanish works like that with rogues in World of Warcraft. It's a trait of the rogue that you just vanish and you have a very short period of time, like grace period, to just get out of dodge no matter what's happening. So you can vanish in the middle of a ground effect, step out of it, and still be stealthed.
It was the only way for them to make already established hero abilities work, but it feels strange to me. But I guess it's no different than unstoppable or whatever. It's just like, yeah, you can't do this right now.
Right. It probably feels a little more frustrating because you're like, no, but they're invisible, but I know what they are. I feel like I'm skilled.
Right. Yeah.
So what we should say during those phases is that they're unrevealable and invisible. However, you can also just be plain invisible by being in stealth and stopping moving for 1.5 seconds. And this works across everybody. So Sammy, whose stealth is limited in time, he can stand still for that time. Valera's, who's infinite, no problem. Zeratul, Nova, same thing. Hammer has a stealth talent. If she chooses to stop moving, she'll be full-blown invisible. Same with your level 20 Medivh talent. If you cast invisible on someone, they have to stop moving. If they're in motion, they are stealth silhouettes, sort of phase 3 of stealth.
Yeah, that was the big kind of reveal at BlizzCon. Like, this is what the new stealth looks like, and everyone lost their mind, and myself included. And I'm just like, oh, stealths are dead. They're all just gonna die. You can really see them now. But they still
I
can't
will shed no tears.
But like you said, they can't be hit. They can't be hit by auto attacks.
Right. Can't be targeted in motion or on an objective pad. This is important. So if you are taking a part of the objective map or you are taking a merc camp, standing still on that will still provide a silhouette.
Right. So you could drop a Chromie Dragon Breath onto them because you can see them. They're right there.
Exactly. So you're on Boskaya, and previously you were going, why isn't this working? Now you can see that silhouette character maybe hiding up in the corner.
I mean, even if they were standing still, not on the pad, the Chromie Dragon Breath would still hit because they can be hit by skill shots when they're invisible.
But you can now see them.
Right.
You can go, oh, that's where I'm dropping my Dragon's Breath.
That's the one I don't know if I like or not.
I mean, I think it's interesting.
No, that if you're not moving for 1.5 seconds on an objective, that you're still that kind of outline revealed.
It undoes a whole bunch of WTF moments. If you guys watch those, like there's a whole bunch of those WTF moments that are like people just cannot figure out why the objective isn't going, you know? So yeah, there's none of that anymore, which was kind of a fun perk of being stealthy.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be moving anyways. They'll be able to see you when it's, I don't know, whatever. Minor nitpick for me.
Mode 4 of stealth is revealed. This is where you are still in stealth for your abilities, Valera and the like. If you have a talent that's going to augment something because you're in stealth, it still functions. Tassadar reveal. This would be being in the area of one of the new towers with true sight. You have a blue outline and you are targetable by auto attacks.
Yep. So that's what's going to happen when you get in range of those towers now with true sight.
And then the final mode, unstealth. Stealth is broken. You're a normal character. Nothing special is happening.
Yep. Cool. Good breakdown of basically the 5 main ways that stealth will now work after this rework.
You hope it's elegant. I think you're right to target the objective pads as being clunk. I get it. Why isn't this game working the way I know it should? But it's a hero interaction. And I mean, that's like saying, why is there a building here? There's some skeleton next to me. Well, he used Entomb. It's not that confusing.
Right, and in my head, you're already taking a huge risk by just standing still on the objective pad to go full invisible. Whereas before, you were full invisible and could move around on it, and which made it relatively safe to screw with people that way. But just standing still on it, like the Chromie's going to get you anyway, man. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be able to see them. That's my point. Again, minor nitpick. It's fine. It's the only thing in all of this where I'm just like, I don't know. But there's also been some art updates for stealth. They added an overlay to indicate when a stealth character goes invisible. And they added
very minor.
Yes. Yeah. And then that new stealth visual effect we've already talked so much about, which is basically them in motion or apparently on an objective pad of some sort.
So the Nexus closes in on you a little bit. Little triangles come flying in on your screen. Very light on the sides, but that's what lets you know if you stop moving for the 1.5 seconds necessary to become true invisible. For Sammy, there's no notification if your unrevealed status is about to disappear. But for the Rogue, they actually have a deep shadows indicator now, which is pretty nice. And it also ties in the way the new character works.
Yeah.
For the unrevealable characters, this feels really different. And of course, it's different for all stealthies. Samoto is the only one I have heavy experience with. He's the only stealthy I really enjoy. For him, I found myself really hugging corners and using my unrevealable period to run in for the engage, where previously I would, camp around a little more.
I'm really surprised at how little some of the characters were changed.
Yeah.
Zeratul in particular feels like, really? He still works? Like that's all you're doing to change him? I'm surprised.
And Zeratul does work because of his movement abilities with the blink. He can cover such great distances. He doesn't need unrevealed because he'll blink away. And if he doesn't have blink, that's his fault for making that decision. So he doesn't have to worry about Diablo, Flame Stomps, or Muradin Thunderclaps causing noise in the area, ruining his stealth like maybe Valera or Sammy would getting out of melee. Because of that blink distance, the chaos of battle still allows you to be cloaked. It's very, when you look at it on paper, when they're showing the GIFs at BlizzCon, you're very much thinking stealth is dead. But when you are a forward-focused backline Li Ming and the fight is happening in front of you and you're trying to land skill shots, that silhouette sneaking up behind you with no mini-map notification at all is pretty effective still.
Interesting.
Yeah. And while we're on top of the Zero Tool, let's just get into it. Yeah, he hasn't been changed a ton, but he did lose a heroic and gain a new heroic.
Yeah.
Which seems big to me. Shadow Assault's gone, and is the heroic replacing it is called Might of the Nerazim. It has a passive that reads, after using an ability, Zero Tool's next basic attack within 6 seconds deals 40% more damage. Hell yeah! And it has an activatable, which duplicates the last ability cast. The damaging abilities deal 50% less damage, and this ability does not benefit from talents. But it's only on a 20-second cooldown. That's still just extra free damage on top of this passive 40% burst every 6 seconds.
It's interesting because...
Or within 6 seconds, sorry.
First of all, I think it's interesting that there was this big change, because I wouldn't say the stealth aspect of Shadow Assault had anything to do with that heroic, really. I mean, it didn't necessitate that change, in my opinion. Maybe you guys disagree. But the other thing that I think is interesting is old school Zeratul, before it was removed, he used to have that ability to duplicate his whatchamacallit, his ranged skill shot thing. What's that called? Do a second one for 50% the damage.
Singularity spike?
Yeah, Singularity Spike. And then they removed that, but this feels like a workaround to kind of get back to being able to do that.
Maybe.
I used to love that. I used to do that all the time. I love that skill when you could just like pop 2 of them on somebody and then just own them. It was great.
He might be a little less bursty, but it's a balancing act, and it seems like they may have found it. What they are hoping to do is destroy the single build for Zeratul that gave him all his mobility and all his back and forths. One thing they're doing is baking in Vorpal Blade, the one that allowed you to teleport to the last target you auto-attacked as long as it's not a structure.
Finally.
And having that exactly frees up a lot of room for the build. And when you have if you have the new Knight of the Nerazim, you can duplicate a blink or another damage ability. So that's the way that you can go into burst territory, while your Void Prison build is a lot more about control. Likewise, though, Might of the Nerazim also benefits a lot from auto-attack talents. So now it's looking like you might have an auto-attack build Zeratul who's very bursty and contributes maybe heavily in PvE objectives in some ways. And the control Zeratul that is more spell damage based and still has that contribution for the team.
All of these today, all of these stealthies, I just need a lot more time with them. I think for my overall impression, I want to move on and talk about Valeera. That's the stealthy I love the most near and dear to my heart. I want her to be Hero League viable. So first up, right off the bat, Vanish. Her movement speed is getting increased from 10% to 20%. Which I love. I just love that out the gate, and I think she kind of needed if you're going to be able to see her while she's freaking moving. So I'm on board there. And then her stealth abilities are it's interesting. I'm not sure why I didn't. I feel like I should have seen this coming. So Ambush, if Valeera has been vanished for 3 seconds or more, Ambush gets 5 range, and it just works as a teleport. She teleports behind her target and ambushes them. The damage has been reduced decisively, but it also now reduces enemy armor by 10 for a full 4 seconds. That's a long time for an armor debuff. Cheap Shot, very similarly, if she's been vanished for 3 seconds, she gets that 5 range again, and it will teleport her just behind the target, and bam, stun. That stun, however, has been reduced to 3/4 of a second. It used to be 1 1/4 second. So that makes me go, I don't know. But it also now blinds the target for 2 seconds after the stun effect ends. So I like these teleports being baked into things like Ambush and Cheap Shot. I already thought, like, the way I'm going to have to play Valeera now is to try and get ahead of wherever my target is moving wait, go full invisible, and then ambush their butts. And now they don't have to get like right on top of me for me to really get the jump on them. I can teleport to them.
This ambush change is across the board in the stealthies, providing reduced armor. What they've done on these stealthies is removed a lot of their damage and replaced it with a back-end armor decrease, which immediately speaks to teamwork. There's no point in you ganking unless you have someone else who's going to help out.
I hope the message is received by the stealthies, because I feel like that directly speaks to the thing that frustrates me about players who seem to want to just go on their own and be solo little gank squads. Hopefully they get that message. That would be great.
It's going to be difficult for them, and they'll have to learn the same tools and trips and play styles that tanks have to. Don't make an engage unless you have the damage to complete it. Or, it depends on you're delaying an objective somewhere, whatever. Those things will happen. Valeera is, however, perhaps one of the rougher characters to have the stealth rework when you start thinking about the way the silhouette works. Valeera previously, if in a game where stealth is completely not an option, there's so many magic missiles and fireballs flying everywhere that there's no way she's ever going to close on her target. So you'd start to play this thrall style where you would move in unstealth, quickly pop into stealth, apply your new abilities, and continue the DPS. Now your abilities are augmented by being in that stealth for 3 seconds. So that style is a little neutered in some ways, or doesn't have the new benefits. And that hurts a lot.
Right.
Plus, if you have to be invisible standing still, they can bring the fight to you. How cool is that? I'm going to kite the fight back to Valeera. But that's not proactive. That's not Hero League.
No, it's not. I mean, the only thing you're really losing out on is that teleport. But yes, you're getting the reduced armor from ambush. Yes, you're getting the blind from cheap shot. I don't think that's enough to make up for how much time was lost on that stun, how much damage was lost, immediate damage was lost on that ambush. But it's still worth pointing out that the only thing you're really missing out is the range on that teleport.
And you got Nova Bribe. Sammy's great at camps. Zeratul at level 13 can still take the mending strikes. Valeera, if you hit the stealth wall and there's nothing you can contribute, you can't contribute to PvE, and there's still that hole.
Yeah. It's if she was a card in Hearthstone, we would say there's situations where she's a dead card. And there are many situations where she is a dead hero. Nova, we've already talked a bit about this on the show during the BlizzCon wrap-up, but let's get back into it because now we have it in writing and in bullet points. Snipe damage is down, but she now has a baseline quest to get that damage back from snipe.
And it goes away if she misses once, which is pretty fun. It only gives stacks if she hits heroes, so she can't go farm this up while you're not watching. And equals it out a bit at the end of the day if you're all stacked up to your previous damage.
Yeah, that makes her quite the skill-dependent hero.
The real cool thing here is her new one, her Ghost Protocol. Clicking this button on a minute cooldown makes you unrevealable for half a second, allowing you to use some runtime, but also drops a holo decoy at your feet.
I like that. I also like that the holo decoys now just do a base, 10% of Nova's damage out the gate. That's cool.
Right, you need a little something to be scared of or to at least be confused about.
Right, and they're sharing some of the AI love with them because they're getting improved AI functionality.
We'll have to see on this one. I think Nova, because of her range, will probably be the least affected of all the stealthies. And in fact, Nova here, the way I'm seeing her played, Ghost Protocol is a minute-long gank cooldown. And you are not using it for stealth at all. You're using it for one more 10% illusion that you are plowing into that enemy face with.
Ooh, I like that. I'm fine with that. Are you okay with that?
I think there's so many elegant changes. Her armor works like Valeera's does, where it contributes after the fact, so it's more team-based again. So there's still those good changes, but for people who think, finally Nova's dead, she might be the one who survives the most.
No!
Yep.
Next is Zeratul, who we just, is always there.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on Samora you wanted to mention, Kyle, before we move on?
I love him. I want him to work. Illusion, the shuffle. It actually, there is a really good thing about Samuro. So our first reactions on Samuro were that they took his illusions and they destroyed them. They made them deal 9 damage at level 1 on an auto attack, which just sounds horrible. When are you going to get a kill? Well, the real benefit is that they took that damage and put it into Samuro himself. So your illusions are more about playing that 3-card Monty game of shuffle rather than supplying damage, which means when you have 2 illusions battling that Stitch is back there and you stealth to chase down Anna, you're carrying the most damage with you. That critical strike is the biggest critical strike without illusions, and then you can teleport back, having not lost DPS.
All right, so you still believe in your stealthy orc.
I believe in Samuro. I think this is good for him. His problem is still that, there's no variation on his kit's damage. Blade Storm is, once you learn it, I think last episode, Jeff and I were fighting a Samuro, and I'm like, target him, just kill him. He's revealing which one's real anyway, just kill him. Don't freak out. And that's right, one source of spell damage if you get blind out. But hey, actually, Illusion Master can take it down, his shuffle down to an 8-second cooldown, and it removes status effects. So if you're awesome, you could get blinded by Johanna, do a shuffle, and continue the attack. So there's room now, but it's still all auto attack based.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Black Friday sales or anything you guys just absolutely have to get from this.
Well, go ahead.
Christmas things are awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, the Christmas skins are absurd. Did you see that Malfurion?
Yeah, but sadly, I don't think they're going to be a part of this yet.
No, they're not part of this sale. No, yeah. I appreciate the non sequitur to remind me that there are indeed Christmas skins coming.
And I'm sure we're going to get a wonderful Christmas loot box that'll look like a present somehow. That'll be great.
That will be good. Yeah, the 360-day stim pack is back. I bought this last year.
I do every year, man. It's my annual investment into Heroes.
Yeah, I think
along with my other periodic investments into Heroes.
I think I'm going to do it again because I like this game. This is like my way to support it. I mean, they're also really nice, and typically they send you an codes for new heroes all the time, so I don't end up having to buy a lot of the heroes. So I will definitely, I think, be picking up the 360 days stim pack. I know this sounds like an ad. Then we're getting no kickback from this, guys. No kickback at all. And I want that Angry Cloud mount, and it's in one of the bundles. I need to go in and see just how much of this bundle I already own, because I still don't have that Angry Cloud. I want it.
But that's a good thing if you own. I always feel like that's a good thing if I own big parts of the bundle, because then I'm only paying for the thing I want.
Yeah, yeah. Although this is the kind of thing where I'm like, yay, sale, and I'm like, oh crap, gems are still the way I buy things in this game.
Yeah.
What an interesting time for Heroes. Following the EA collapse of its loot boxes.
I don't think it is, because Heroes is a free-to-play game, so it gets to do whatever the hell it wants, and it kind of has like immunity in that way. And then EA. Well,
they're also, Blizzard is smart, and they do Overwatch correctly. They do his Heroes correctly. This is what you want from. This is why I feel comfortable giving them money, because they're completely cosmetic, completely quality of life improvements. These are not core parts of the game that I have to pay for. There's plenty of stuff there to play as a free-to-play game. You don't have to spend a penny, and you can be absolutely competitive in this game. So, a lot of the missteps that we saw in Star Wars, I don't think are present here. This is the example of how to do it right.
I would push back against that with Heroes anyway, and say that, well, you can get Heroes from loot boxes, and Heroes have a huge impact on the way you play the game. Some might argue that it's pay to win, or at least pay to play Hero League, and at any case.
Yeah, sure.
But that's kind of where I was coming at it, where it's a free to play game, so I think it kind of gets that as a pass.
Yeah, it's not right. It's a little different when you're paying $60 up front, and then you don't get to play as the coolest characters.
Yeah, although I've played maybe 6 hours of Battlefront 2, and I can already get myself a Darth Vader after they've changed and broken to the complaints of everybody. So, but whatever the case is, yeah, Heroes is doing it right. Overwatch is definitely doing it right. It's nothing but cosmetics in those loot boxes. It's fine. If you want to pay money to look cooler, that's on you. But that gun is just as deadly as my broke-ass pleb gun.
Yeah, and that's an example of a game that you paid, $60 for.
Exactly. So, well, before we take an email and wrap this up and get out of the way for all the turkey about to come out of ovens, let's thank our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. You've heard us mention it before. We all are content creators full-time now. We're very fortunate, and it's all because of support from listeners over at patreon.com/ITN. If you like the podcast and you want to support us, this is the best way to do it. Always going to be free. You don't have to pay for it, but we certainly appreciate it if you do. And it's also why we have folks like Mr. Cannata on. We have Dunk Train on once a month, and we pay them for their time. So thank you for that. This episode, thank you to Greg W., thank you to Jacob M., thank you to Ryan S., Lauren, no last name given, and Ocularis.
Yeah, you can sort of think of each episode as a little loot box. I might be in there. I might not be. You're always guaranteed to get a Garrett and a Kyle, but there may be a Dunk Train in there. Maybe you never know until you click open.
Yep. And we're coming up on our 200th episode, man. It's nuts. It's really crazy to think about that. So, anyways, folks, thank you for that. Check it out, patreon.com/ITN. And now let's take an email.
Darkness stopped calling.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
ITNcast@gmail.com. That is the place where you can send your emails. Jeremy writes in to close out the episode this week and says, lately in Hero League, I feel like I never get to draft a hero that I want to play. It seems like any time I decide to draft a ranged assassin, our team comp ends up with something like a Malfurion and 2 other ranged assassins, or it lacks a real tank and just gets bruisers. This is especially frustrating because when I am first pick, it feels like if I don't tank or support, I get forced into a terrible team comp by my teammates. What do I do? Jeremy also gave the example of Vala as the ranged assassin, so I'm assuming that's kind of Jeremy's go-to here. I don't want to be reductive, but that's Hero League.
That's the sound. That's the sound, man.
It's Hero League, man. It's you take a break, you go play, take 5 quick matches and call me in the morning. You get to play whatever the hell you want. Comp be damned, and you should embrace the madness because you're gonna get some wacky comps. Just embrace it. Take those talents you never had a reason to take, and then come back to Hero League. The one kind of like thing that sticks out to me is he's saying when I'm first pick, it feels like that if I do not tank or support, I get forced into a terrible team comp by my teammates. What do I do? And he mentions Vala, and I say, oh, take Vala. Vala's a really safe first pick. I would feel like most teams would know how to build around a Vala. Like it's the most.
We actually have here with us this evening a Vala taker, That's frequent right. Hero Leaguer in Silver, who I think experiences the same thing day to day.
Yes, Kyle has definitely seen this exact phenomenon rear its ugly head, and he has had sage advice on numerous occasions as he's coached me, which is, first of all, learn how to communicate with your team in very positive ways. Be a cheerleader, which I am guilty of not being all the time, and I have learned from Kyle that, be in favor of your team's choices, give people positive reinforcement to make strong picks. But even when the team comp doesn't work out the way you want, Kyle always says, tell them it was perfect, great draft. Way to go, guys. Which I think is really sage advice, and I really appreciate that. But also, play to your strengths, because even if you do the thing that is the safe pick and you're trying to ensure your team is going to be the right comp, generally you're still not going to bring as much value to your team as you would just playing your best characters. So that's one of the things I've learned through Kyle's coaching. I'm sure you have more to add, Kyle.
To echo that a little bit and build on it, when you get those picks you don't want to see, what you have to do first is acknowledge that the pick is great. Put it on a pedestal and like, oh, I love Gazlo. What a fun hero. Fantastic, but gosh, it's sad. I don't think it works here. Great pick, though, for the map. Wow, I wish we would have had room for that. But like you said, when it's all over, great comp, guys. We did it. Make sure that's a real positive thing. Hearing his language, though, I'm afraid the advice that would likely come out of my mouth if we were having a coaching session together with Jeremy is, sounds like you should take Garrett's advice and play some quick match. And when you want to play tank and support, you go play Hero League. A lot of the time, boredom is your greatest enemy for those rank points.
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
While it may not look like an Uther comp, you play nothing but Uther right now, so do it. Make it happen. And that's not universal. You have to be proactive. Brightwing, Asmodan, they have their opportunities. There are windows, but Vala is so great, and the reason we always talk about her is because the Vault Reset Hungering Arrow is a proactive delete that makes you win. And getting that sweet keep is awesome. Teleporting it at the right moment is awesome. But blink healing everybody, that didn't do it. Splitting them with Emerald Wind, now we're on the proactive end. So I would encourage you to acknowledge your league. Say it's sad. I agree. I want you to be on the hero you want to be. But let's acknowledge that you have to have that support. Maybe you end up with Malfurion and you hate it with your Vala. I certainly do. That's a heal over time on a squishy character. Horrible combo. Why not fill that out with a second support? Start playing some Tyrande. I know that it's weird, but that sort of first pick means that people still go, oh, we need a real support, and yet you still got the DPS levels you wanted.
Yeah.
Not a perfect vacuum scenario, of course, but you have to ebb and flow.
And without knowing deep specifics or seeing like a multi-game match log, it sounds like Jeremy has a good head around what he needs for his comps to succeed. Like whatever the case is, and it seems like you're also good at. He's kind of found a pattern with wherever he is at on the ladder, wherever he is at with his MMR. It's relevant. What keeps happening to him over and over again is they're missing a key part of that composition, and he's having to fill roles that it sounds like he's getting bored with. So, but the first pick, man, that's when you can really choose your own destiny, and that's when you should. That's when, Kyle, you always say you need to believe. You need to be. This is where you bring your ego out. What am I the best at? What do I truly believe that I am better at this than anyone else in this line? And you just force your way into the role you want to play.
And depending on your league, bring CC. Holy crud! Like the number of people that have climbed as my students wicked fast out of their league is usually when they embrace a heavy CC. Uther, Nubarak, Kael'thas. When we're talking bronze silver here, because more often than not, you need a shot caller. Voice chat's not there yet. I'm not sure your bronze voice chat would be the best thing anyway for that. Someone being stunned and lifted into the air while Kael'thas goes, that is a shot call. Everyone wants to kill that guy. And if you can supply that for your team, you will immediately see them following you now. And now you're in the lead. Now you don't have to be that Vala. You can be any of those others, even something like Maw. Like, get good at it and see what you can cook up. That's a shot call.
Yep. Some of the most climbing I ever did was on good old Zagara, and that was before Nidus was a thing. It was in the game. No one took it. Nobody took it. But well, rad. Keep those emails coming, folks. itncast@gmail.com. We're gonna wrap this up, bring it to a close. Mr. Jeff Cannata, you're our guest this week. Where can folks find you doing things like getting coached by Kyle or talking about scandalous loot box practices?
Yes, I do all of the above and more on my various shows, as we mentioned numerous times. It's called Hot's Lunch, and it's usually Wednesdays at noon Pacific time at caffeine.tv/Jeff Cannata. I hope to see lots of ITNers there. If you guys are an ITNer, please mention that. It's fun to see. Also, I do a couple of video game shows, including a daily video game show called Newest, Latest, Best. You can find that on all of the various podcasting locations or by visiting anchor.fm/NLB. I also do a weekly video game show called DLC. You can find that at 5by5.tv/DLC.
Awesome. Kyle, what about you, dude?
I'll once again plug my website, kyleferguson.com, where you can find those lessons. Scheduling available throughout the holidays. Great gift idea I might throw out. But also, I am not going out of town for this Thanksgiving break. I will be around the whole weekend streaming. Check out Team League on Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And check out, please. It's an oral tradition, Dungeons and Dragons. It has been digitally remastered into Divinity 2. If you are at all curious about what is the best co-op RPG in the world, check out the 2 p.m. stream on twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. I do with Jeffrey Reynolds, another Jeff, and John Jagger and Kristen Ashton. It is magical.
I'm looking forward to watching Kyle Fergusson versus Tryptophan. The epic battle.
Isn't that a motion sickness pill?
Am I doing it wrong? Isn't that the chemical in turkey that makes you sleepy?
Oh. Yes, I think you're right.
There we go.
Luckily, I'm not streaming on Thursday, so there will not be a catatonic Kyle on camera falling asleep.
All right. Awesome. Folks, definitely check that out. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. Every podcast I do, including this one, is over at amove.tv. I am going out of town for Thanksgiving. That's why Into the Nexus is as early as it is. Well, also, it would have been on Thanksgiving itself. We had to do it a little early, right? Right? And it's cheesy, but I'm thankful for this damn community, man. This is ridiculous. This is insane. You know, what we managed to pull together here. All the way back from humble beginnings of a Wings of Liberty podcast by two guys that had no idea how to play StarCraft to a Heroes of the Storm podcast. So thanks for that, everybody. And thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Mythdoll. You guys are great. Thank you so much for the support. And we'll be back not this Thursday, but the following Thursday at our usual time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in to twitch.tv/amovetv. Join the chat room. Make fun of me when I fail to outro eloquently with a sentence that makes sense. It's a good time. It's a good time. Come on by. That's going to do it for now. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.
Stay positive, don't die!